Guidance is internal. Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Permission to board. Permission to come aboard. Permission to board. Permission to bring me aboard. Permission to come aboard.
Welcome to the Permission Granted podcast. Here's DA.
All right, welcome inside the freshest Permission Granted podcast, everybody. This is the show within the show. This is all off of the air goodness. And you can subscribe to this podcast in a different way than the normal podcast. The normal podcast is the show. This is the PGP, which is available on iTunes. Just simply go to iTunes and search The DA Show. Or no, you know what? Search Permission Granted Podcast. You'll find it there. It's on the normal DA Show's iTunes feed as well. This is always available also on both Facebook and on Twitter, facebook.com/The DA Show, and on Twitter, DA on CBS. Mraz and Berman will break down the much-anticipated NHL playoffs. No, actually, I think it might be much anticipated this year. So they'll do this coming up here. Mraz will join me coming up here as well. But this is also a podcast where we like to chat not only sports, but other things as well, including to directors and comedians and actors in this case. There is a brand new NBC series that is out called Heartbeat. And joining us from that show is one of the actors from NBC's Heartbeat. That would be J. Lewis Mills, who has a very interesting kind of sports background story that we can talk about here. J. Lewis Mills, how are you, man?
How you doing, man? Thank you very kindly for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks so much for joining us. This is a brand new series on NBC, so why don't you give us our listeners a little nugget into what it's going to be all about?
Basically, our show is about the life and achievements of Chief Thoracic Surgeon Dr. Kathy Magliato. She wrote a book back in 2006 called Heart Matters, and our show is loosely based off of her book, her life, and her achievements. So every person that you see, every character that you see on our show is based off of a real person. Our characters weren't derived or weren't created in a writing room somewhere. We're actually telling the story of real people and real situations. And
so what role will you be playing in Heartbeat?
Well, I play the perfusionist. His name is Forrester Marcus. A perfusionist basically is the person, if you go in for any kind of a surgical procedure and your heart is stopped, your blood has to flow through something in order to keep going through your body. So you're hooked up to what's called a heart-lung machine. And basically the perfusionist keeps you alive by maintaining all of your stats and all of your vitals through that machine.
Looks like you guys got a good cast going on. I see that D.L. Hughley has been in it for at least 6 episodes. A number of other actors that are very good. Melissa George, Rudy Martinez. Looks like a good cast you guys got.
Yes, it's kind of cool because I'm kind of the low man on the totem pole. Everybody that I'm working with has a couple of series or some pretty cool films underneath their belt. So for me, it's just cool for being the new guy on the block to come in and just be embraced and accepted into the family so much by so many great actors.
Now, just reading through your bio, I did not realize this, but you specifically had some health issues once you turned, age 12 or so, 13 or so? How did you, how was that diagnosed, and how did you make your way through that?
Well, when I was a younger kid, I had a problem with stuttering, as well as I had a blood disease, a rare blood disease called Kawasaki syndrome, as well as I had seizures. I grew out of that around ages 12 or 13, but when I was a kid, I spent so much time in the hospitals. The nurses on the children's floor knew me and my family members on a first-name basis.
That's incredible. And so what did that do in terms of development for you as a young guy growing up, as a young child growing up? What does that do in terms of a personality development and how you grow as a person?
Well, it kind of opens you up to a lot of different people and a lot of different situations. My dad was a former football player with the Buffalo Bills and the Chicago Bears, So I've always I was always an athletic kid. It's just with my sickness, I wasn't able to participate in athletics until high school. So before then, I'm the kid hanging out on the sideline, talking to the cheerleaders or talking to the coaches or, talking to the parents if we're going to like my football games or something. So I was more of when I was a kid, I was more of a cheerleader. So it kind of opened me up socially, and it made me be introduced better to people socially.
You had eye surgery as well, in which case you lost eyesight in one eye, and that has caused you to use an eye patch. And you kind of have noted that it was one of those things that was, I'm sure, hard to get used to in terms of the attention that you got on the streets or in public. And so how did your kind of development as a young child, as you mentioned, trying to be open and trying to kind of be social with people, how did that kind of tie into dealing with the eye patch and the surgery?
Well, it took a while for those worlds to kind of be introduced to each other. When I first started wearing my eye patch, I was getting adults that were walking into trees or light poles because they were looking at me. And I was taking that offensively. I was taking that personally as if I was being treated like, some oddity. I didn't take it as like a compliment of, my look becoming more of a presence for me. So it wasn't until I got around some friends and some other people in the acting world that, told me just how good my look was that I started to embrace it. So if I could say anything, I would say just the fact that I was pretty socially balanced when I was a kid, it really kind of helped me see the other side of the perspective.
J. Lewis Mills joins us from the new NBC series Heartbeat. He joins us here on the DA Show on CBS Sports Radio. So as you mentioned, what an interesting background that your father had actually played for Lou Saban, or was a rookie football player with Lou Saban. That's, of course, Nick Saban's father back when Lou was a head coach in the NFL. What are some of the stories that you remember from your dad as he's going through the NFL of the 70s?
Well, the one story that I remember more is my dad was originally drafted by Lou Saban, as you said, when Mr. Saban was a coach for the Denver Broncos. Well, before the season started, Coach Saban had moved from the Broncos to the Buffalo Bills, and he ended up trading for my dad. He drafted my dad, and he believed in my dad, so he brought my dad to Buffalo, and there were a lot of people that didn't believe in me in this town. And, I finally found somebody that believed in me, and they, brought me to the big dance, so to speak, like Coach Saban did for my dad. So, I kind of tried. I lost my dad in April of 2015 or May of 2015. So it's kind of comforting that in that kind of a way, I can kind of put a tie into my success with the bit of success my dad had in the NFL.
What I love also is that you are very proud of the eye patch. You use it as a signature. And, you can really accessorize very well with this. You've got a couple of different looks with the eye patch. So can you shop for multiple ones? Like, how does that go?
Well, I'm currently in talks right now, and I'm trying to develop a line of eye patches, but I would like to do that exact thing. I would like to better accessorize. There's times where myself as well as other people that wear eye patches, we go to, pretty prestigious type events, and to show up with an eye patch on that you pick up at a CVS somewhere, it just kind of mentally isn't really too becoming. So right now I'm in the works to try and develop my own line of eye patches, designer as well as regular everyday, just to give more of an option, just to give more of an accessory to the eye patch.
That's outstanding. That is very, very cool. The new show is Heartbeat at NBC. Now, this airs Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. You can also follow it on Twitter at NBC Heartbeat, and the website is nbc.com/heartbeat for more information and clips and episodes of the show. That's nbc.com/heartbeat. J. Lewis Mills joining us here on the show. Well, this was very, very cool, my man. Thank you so much for joining us, and good luck with Heartbeat. Hopefully we can catch up again as you guys continue to succeed.
Thank you very kindly for having me, sir. I look forward to coming back and sharing more of my great events with you.
All right, thanks to J. Lewis Mills from Heartbeat on NBC for joining us here on the show. Mraz joins me now. Mraz, what's the best thing you ate over the weekend?
Wow, came out swinging there, huh?
Yeah.
You know, there's probably, boy, I'm going through the rigors. I had a lot of good stuff. Okay, I had for lunch on Sunday an everything bagel that was made into garlic bread on the bagel.
Okay.
With chicken cutlet, Munster, bacon, and a little bit of ranch dressing.
Oh, that sounds delicious.
That was my lunch with a little side macaroni salad from a bagel store up the block.
Ooh, so they do that for you.
Yeah. They have like all these lunch specials at this one bagel spot my sister's found.
Oh, my.
I played a football game in the morning. By the time I got home, it was like 11:30. I wasn't really in a breakfast kind of mood.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm looking for a little lunch, so I went that route. I said, I'm going to get a bagel, but I'm going to get lunch on the bagel.
Ooh, gosh, that's a great breakfast sandwich / lunch sandwich.
Very filling. It was my brunch, so to speak.
That's a good one. I had 2 really good meals over the weekend.
But before you continue, I love that. This is where we come out in the crossover. All right. It's right out of the weekend. What'd you eat, slob?
Well, I realize that I do have a slight fascination with food.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, I mean most people do, but I really like dissecting it.
Okay.
I really like breaking it down.
Let's break it down. What else
like
you got for me?
I had dim sum on Saturday.
Right.
I invited you to dim sum. You were covering the Rangers game. Me and my buddies went to go have dim sum, and dim sum is kind of like a bit of a New York tradition type thing because it's basically Chinese brunch. And that's when they bring out just carts or their own special menu of dumplings.
Oh,
and so there's all different types of dumplings, and you it's like family style. So you share. So you get a platter of this, you order a platter of that. So to do the dim sum, but you also get kind of shrimp on the side, or you can get pork rolls, which are like the doughy rolls with chopped pork in the middle.
Getting starving already now as we talk about this.
So I did dim sum, and I had not done dim sum in a couple of years. Absolutely delicious.
What now? How long you got to sit at that table? Does it get to a certain point where they're not going to cart stuff out for you, or
you sit there forever?
Oh man,
So it's really like brunch. People just kind of sit and chill for a long time. I wanted to go and take the guys to Chinatown because epic dim sum.
Right, I'm curious because when you originally told me you said we're going down to Chinatown, then when you texted me the address, it was like, well, what are we doing here?
Saturday's weather was crap, and at all the places in Chinatown, they don't take reservations, so you got to put in your name and then wait. And I'm like, I don't think we want to wait an hour on the street, in the middle of freezing cold rain. So I said, let's find a place that we can get a reservation in. So we went to the place in Midtown, which ended up being pretty good, but we sat there for maybe 2.5 hours.
Oh wow,
just plowing through dumplings.
Wow.
Yeah.
So had I made it, I'm sure there would have been some pictures of me pumping through dumplings.
No doubt. And you can get like a million different things. There's the soups, there's the dumplings, there's the like filleted shrimp, there's the pork buns. So it's something we should do because you in a buffet situation is pretty epic where they just keep bringing you food.
That's incredible. That is. You know what? I had gone out for the Islander game after that. I went out. I should have brought this up about food. Now that we're bringing up food, I can't believe I forgot something crazy that I tried after the Islander game had ended Saturday night.
Okay.
Danielle had picked me up. She was out. I was out. My sisters had come into the Ranger game. They had tickets. We went out with a couple of their friends. We were having drinks, and Danielle picked me up and said, I'm hungry. I haven't had dinner. Now, at this point, I lied to her. I told her I didn't eat it. Croxley's when I was pounding wings. And
you had eaten at the Ranger game as well.
I had 2 hot dogs, a pretzel, and cheesecake brownie squares.
So you had lied to Danielle that you had missed 2 meals.
She knew I ate at the Garden, but I acted like I didn't eat dinner. She was starving at like 9:30 at night. Okay. Game ends. We're gonna go out.
Yeah.
I said, okay. There's this place that opened by us called Local Burger, and it's supposed to be like all local beers and all this stuff. But they have a bunch of crazy burgers on the menu. Okay, so speaking of your dim sum, broccoli, all this, I tried a burger with peanut butter on it.
Interesting you bring this up because in Kansas City, outside of Kansas City, in Sedalia, Kansas, or Sedalia, Missouri, I think that's in Sedalia, Missouri, they have something called a Goober Burger.
Oh,
and
boy.
I never stop because it's on the way when you go from Kansas City to the University of Missouri. And so I used to cover and go to a lot of games, but it's like 45 minutes off the beaten trail, so I never went there. But the famous Goober Burger has peanut butter on it. That's the signature.
That's crazy. See, I never heard this. So I was kind of in a mood, to be honest. I'm not going to lie, I had a couple drinks in me. I'm like, loosey-goosey. I'd had a good day.
Yeah.
I saw this on the menu. I said, let me try this.
Okay.
Let me have this.
Okay.
I got to tell you, pretty freaking good.
Is that right?
And as soon as it came, I'm like, what was I thinking? What was I thinking? You idiot, you idiot, you idiot. And I bit into it. It didn't overpower you with the peanut butter, but it added like a smooth gooiness to
Interesting.
it was just, you wouldn't believe the combo of taste. And I can't compare it to anything because it's something so uncomparable. But a little bit of peanut, and again, they didn't kill it. It wasn't like they, took 2 ice cream scoops of peanut butter on it.
Yeah.
It was a nice, smooth coating, replacing the cheese, if you will, on a burger. Boy, it was scrumdiddlyumptious.
I'm trying to think how that...
And literally, as we're talking, my stomach is now starting to growl. I have a sick problem.
I'm wondering how that compares. Like, so... Instead of the cheese, I guess peanut butter does have like a consistency that when it's hot,
Yes.
it's like
you could eat it on the
like
ice cream.
viscous.
Yes.
kind of like a melted cheese.
Melted cheese. That's what it kind of was like, that,
So
a
it's
little layer.
a little oily.
Yes.
The peanuts itself is a nut. I don't think you ever have a nut on meat.
No,
That's
but
a weird thing.
But if you really breaking it down, a peanut can give you a little bit of a crunch, right? And people like sometimes put potato chips or pickled chips on a burger.
That's true.
You go crunch, crunch, goo. Dude, I'm telling you,
Crunch, goo.
I probably, my normal state, and I am a fat slob, we get it, I don't like using the F word, would never have ordered that had I not already had a couple cocktails. And by the way, didn't really care if my dinner sucked because, again, I already plowed through the wings. I was all in and loved it, man.
Okay.
Loved it. I was in the mix.
All right, very good. Transitioning over to hockey since you were at this game.
Yes.
Around here in New York, newsroom is now buzzing. The hockey fans are out because the playoffs are here, and the Rangers and the Islanders are in the playoffs.
Right. It's a big deal here in New York.
Big deal here in New York. But I like to gauge things from outside New York since we're on 170 some odd radio stations. In terms of the national scope of things, I know the Blackhawks are a little down this year.
Right, but people are still very much buying into them making a run again.
Okay. Penguins are up. That's a good thing for American hockey fan.
Yes,
Penguins are
Sidney Crosby's gotten red hot and got red hot after Evgeny Malkin went down. So it just really puts the onus on how great Sidney Crosby is.
And there were some question marks coming into the season about whether he was truly a great player or maybe he had already peaked.
Has really proven it.
Ovechkin on the up is a very good thing for compelling storylines because he's never gotten to a conference final, right?
Right, and I would say this is probably the biggest storyline heading into the postseason is that this seems to be the best Capital team that Ovechkin's ever been on. Barry Trotz has come in, changed the whole system, and all eyes are on them. They're expected to get to the Cup out of the East, and if they don't, it's a colossal failure. And if they don't, it's really going to come down on Ovechkin's shoulders. People are going to say that he's the choke artist, he's the failure.
Yeah, I was going to say because they were the 1 seed back in the high-flying offensive days a number of years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago now, and they collapsed early.
Yeah, I think they blew a 3-0 lead. We were one of the teams that blew the 3-0 lead.
know.
Might have been to the Bruins.
Yeah, maybe.
I could be thinking about that wrong, but
they were the 1 seed under a different style with Ovechkin when he was a 50-goal scorer.
Yes.
Now they're a 1 seed with a defensive style.
Right.
So if they fail again, then you're going to put it on Ovechkin that he just simply can't do it.
100%. And they brought winners in on the roster around him.
So who would be an Ovechkin comp? What would be a good other athlete? Like the guy that always has the 1 seed but flames out. I mean, I guess you would say Peyton Manning, but he ended up
Winning
having
a Super Bowl.
2 of them.
Boy, that's a good question.
And he got to 2 others. It'd be somebody that like...
For a while, I would have said A-Rod in baseball before 2009.
Right.
When he finally won one.
Right. But was he ever on the best team? I don't think he was ever on the best team. Because
the 2004 Yankees were pretty good.
Yeah, right.
95 Mariners were really good.
He wasn't on that team, I don't think.
Yeah, he was.
I think he was like a call-up. He was like 18 years old.
He was 18 in 94. I'm telling you, he started third base, 95 Mariners. I've watched that series. They beat the Yankees over and over
he
again.
Was their starting first baseman in 95?
Shortstop.
Rather,
yes.
shorting. Yeah, but they weren't the 1 seed that year.
No, they were freaking good.
That was the wild card year.
Yeah, they weren't the wild card. They won the division, and they went to the ALCS and lost to Cleveland.
The one was there a 1-game playoff? What's the game against the Yankees?
No, that was just a best-of-5 wild card round. But they were
that was Game 5.
Yeah, the Yankees were they beat the Yankees. The Yankees were the wild card.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
So they won a division. I'm just saying, A-Rod was another guy like that.
Basketball wise, Carmelo's never been the number one.
Chris Paul, no.
Football wise,
I mean, you want to say were the Bulls ever the number one in the Derrick Rose?
They might have been the one once.
Marino never won. I mean, they made it, but never won.
I mean, that's what's interesting. There kind of is no comp here. He's been on the best team now twice.
Yes.
Maybe more than that. I don't remember if there were other Caps teams with the 1 seed, but has just basically never been able to do anything in the playoffs.
No, exactly. Always get bounced. And a team they get bounced by frequently. The Rangers beat them every year in the playoffs, and if the Rangers got past the Penguins, would face them in the second round, which would be epic.
Right. So there's compelling storylines in the East. I mean, the Florida Panthers are quirky and weird with Kevin Spacey head and Jaromir Jagr and Luongo.
Right.
All that. So there's some compelling things there. So how should we approach this for the show? Should we do Frozen Freakout like we've done the last couple of years?
I think we have to, because even if you're not watching the games, the calls, if you're into listening to the radio,
are
interesting. They go crazy. Every different announcer is in them. I think the Frozen Freakout is the way to go, totally. Because, we've done a lot of other stuff. On the overnight, we were on a lot of big hockey markets. So when we handed out those awards and stuff, people could relate to the players and knew what we were talking about. The Frozen Freakout, I think, can relate to anybody, even if you're not into watching the game.
Because it's just interesting audio.
Yeah, 100%. That's the way I look at it.
Was those are always overtime game winners?
We always went with the overtime game winners.
Yeah.
Yep. Because those are walk-offs, essentially.
Right.
You're looking for the walk-off call.
Yeah, so we should do that. And now we've got the NBA playoffs here as well.
We're juiced up here.
The regular season ends on Wednesday, I believe, for the NBA.
We get going next weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
And that's actually the day the NHL playoffs begin. I always felt like it was a week apart, and now it's going to be like 3 days apart.
I always thought that way, too, I felt like in past years, and maybe I'm wrong for thinking this, the NHL had that first weekend of their playoffs before the NBA playoffs got going. I don't know how it ended up working out that way this year, but it did. Unless the NBA is a week ahead because of the Summer Olympics this year, and they kind of want to give people time. I didn't really think that through.
I don't know.
They could have condensed it a little more. I really don't know. I'd have to look into that.
And then in the NBA, fairly compelling storylines, but I mean, Warriors Spurs just feels like it's a slam dunk.
That's what you're waiting for. Unless the Thunder can rain on the parade and beat the Spurs in the second round.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of and I guess if the Cavs can be knocked off.
Right.
Which they probably can, but I don't know if they will be.
Right. I mean, and who's going to do that? The Raptors are going to do it. The Celtics, the
Hawks.
Hornets. I mean,
yeah.
I can't get juiced up for the Eastern Conference playoffs in the East.
Can't.
I can't. I mean, you'll watch the Thunder, Spurs, and Warriors series.
It'll be interesting if the Cavs have their backs against the wall.
Yes.
If the Cavs find
But again, you won't be jumped in game one, pumped up for it. You got to get to that point, but that's when you're going to sit down and tune in.
Right, because you'll be all in, and everybody will watch if the Cavs are trailing 2-1 against the Celtics in the second round or something like
Totally.
that.
That's when you buy in. Absolutely.
Or the Hawks or the Raptors in the Eastern Finals or something like that.
But the first
Or
round of
Heat.
the NBA playoffs, you're going to be really jacked up for game ones?
No. And so there's kind of the give and take of the NHL versus the NBA playoffs. In the NHL, the 1-8 matchup, well, I guess we don't really do that anymore, but
essentially, you have the best team playing the last wild card. It's Capitals Flyers this year and Ducks Predators.
Oh. But that can be an upset. I mean, we've seen 8 seeds go to the NHL Finals.
Totally.
In the NBA, the 8 almost never beats the 1. When it happens, it's like the most colossal choke job of all time, and it's happened like I think 3 times ever.
Right.
So you kind of like whatever. The 1s and the 2s always move on, and then you have a little bit of drama with the 3, 6, and the 4, 5. And then you get to the second round, and the good thing is in the NBA, almost always the best team wins the NBA Finals.
Right.
You can count on if you're the best team, you will likely be in the NBA Finals or have come pretty close. In the NHL, crapshoot, you could be the best team all season long and then flame out in 5 games.
And it doesn't matter. 100%. And once that tournament starts, the tournament, as they call it.
Do you say tournament instead of tournament?
I say tournament, but I see a lot of people complaining that people call it a tournament.
I think tournament is a very Northeast thing. I think that's a New York, Philly thing. Maybe
and
a
tournament is everywhere else?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
see, I thought, okay, never mind.
Tournament. I think tournament is.
But do you say the PGA Tour or the PGA Tour? Right?
No, you definitely say PGA Tour. That's right. That's a good way to
To
put
think about it.
But yeah, no, tournament I think is the much more approved pronunciation.
Well, we have a couple good tournaments coming up here.
And then how about, do you take a route or a route? Like, is it Route 9 or is it Route 9?
I say route, but then when I say a receiver's running a route,
Right. Right. I think the correct pronunciation is route.
Route. Route?
Right. No, I'm screwed up. I don't know.
Is it rotor-router? Rotor-rooter.
Rotor-rooter, but that's not spelled like
Rotor-router.
A router is like your computer router.
Your internet router.
Yeah, but I think it's route. No, I think most of the world says route.
Red Sox,
and we say route.
Red Sox winning a game 10-1. Do you say they're winning it in a route or winning it in a route?
A route. But that's also not spelled the correct way because that doesn't have an E at the end.
Spelling schmelling.
Also, here in New York, we say if you're waiting for a bunch of people ahead of you to get your delicious chicken cutlet bagel,
Yes.
we say you're waiting online.
Others say waiting in line?
Yes. Waiting online is a very specifically Northeastern thing. The rest of the world says waiting in a line.
You know
Because
what?
they say you're not on a line, you're in the line.
Technically, you're on and in the line, so I'm fine with either.
Are you on a line?
Technically, you're on a line. Like, if you look like I'm standing here. I'm standing on the floor, which is in a line.
You're holding a line.
Yes.
You're on a line.
I don't care. You want to say in or on? I'm fine with both because I think both are technically correct.
People get very upset at Northeasterners for saying standing online, though, because it's like, well, what are you, logged on the computer?
Yeah, people need to calm down. I think that's what we realize.
That's probably true. All right, so you got Berman coming up here, huh?
Yes, we do. Better Berm's in a good mood for the NHL playoffs. We'll break it down.
Yeah, Berman's been in a better mood.
He has been. I think it's funny thinking that the dude's got weekends off, relax. By the way, he had a Masters party with him and Kenny Brock over the weekend.
Just the two of them?
Just the two of them
Very
drinking
romantic.
PBRs and eating tortilla chips, watching golf all weekend. I mean, you talk about the last place I'd rather be. You were having dim sum, I was having chicken cutlets, and these two idiots were holding each other's hair watching golf. I mean, get lost.
We didn't talk about Joey Waller, though, breaking bad news with Waller on Friday.
We didn't.
I thought that was excellent.
I think it was the best one yet. The first one had me cracking up. Was it the house with
Nerlens Noel?
Nerlens Noel?
No, the first one was Kyle Schwarber's leg.
Oh, that's right. That's right. His leg got ripped apart. And the picture I took, I think, was great. A Waller just smiling, putting the headphones on.
He's starting to get into it.
Waller is owning the moment.
Yeah.
Like, he comes in here flexing.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think he's in Friday. He's not going to be happy to know that you're filling in for Doug.
Yeah.
He's going to come in basically patting his belly, ready to go, and have to find out it's Chris Moore hosting.
How frequently do you think we can do Breaking Bad News with Joey Waller before it gets overdone? Because I don't want to overdo it.
No, I think if you do it twice a month.
Okay.
I think that's fair.
So if we did this Friday, it might be a little bit too much back-to-back weeks.
Right, but if by the time we do another Friday with him, yeah. I think it's a great Friday bit because he's in a lot of Fridays.
Yeah.
Adds to the quirkiness and the goofiness heading into the weekend.
Yeah. I think Waller has really found a role here on the show.
He's owning the moment. And that's all you can ask for out of a man. Just own the moment. And he owns the moment very well.
You can check out the most recent edition of Breaking Bad News with Joey Waller via our podcast. Also, it's available. I think just that clip is available. I posted on our Facebook page, facebook.com/The DA Show. All right, we got Side B right now.
All righty, welcome into Side B of the Permission Granted podcast. And for the hockey fans out there that maybe feel like we don't talk enough hockey on the show, this Side B is for you. As the NHL playoffs are upon us, they begin this week. And who better to bring in with me here on Side B than talk about the NHL playoffs than James Ward? No, I'm just kidding. James Ward was locked into the NBA all year. Joe D'Aloisio? Nope. Joe D'Aloisio was locked into Hoochie Mamas all year. Jay Berman is back for the second time in 3 weeks. I cannot believe we're going back to the well with Berman here, who claims he's a starter, not a bench guy. But Berms is a hockey nut like myself, so I welcome him in here to Side B. Berms, what's up?
To be in the presence of the guy known as Mr. Hockey is overwhelming. I'm a little choked up. I'm emotional, but I'm happy.
Well, thank you, Jay. Well, let's get right to it here. The bracket, quote-unquote, is set, which I think, before we get into the games, we can ultimately say quickly, is just ridiculous. I know this is a couple years into it now. But it really reared its head this year when you have the Red Wings and Lightning playing each other and would normally be a 6 versus 8, which would never happen in the first round of a playoff. And the whole concept of having a bracket to have rivalry games first and then hoping that, like March Madness, a bunch of offices are going to fill out brackets, to me, it's just nonsense.
It makes no sense. But more importantly, from my perspective, I would love to know, and what's interesting is that Gary Bettman was actually in studios today here at 345 Hudson. But
right.
Besides the point, I would love to know the reasoning, because I don't really ever remember hearing one, but the reasoning behind this new playoff format that is, as you said, silly, again, void of an explanation and just flat out dumb.
I think it's dumb, and I think I know their line of thinking in that hockey, let's face it, is the fourth of the 4 major sports, and I think to try to generate buzz from alternate parties, who doesn't love a good bracket, as we see with March Madness, which I think is stupid when it comes to these playoffs where you have 8 teams per conference making it because you might as well just reseed after every round. But that ability to fill out a bracket, I think, is something they were hoping would catch on. I don't think it really has. And really to get rivalry, like you don't see enough of these rivalry games all season, but to get the rivalries going in the first round, like you get Rangers, Penguins again this year, Capitals, Flyers, Blackhawks, Blues. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, I mean, that's what they want. They want divisional rounds in the first round, essentially. They want matchups of 2 similar division teams. That's what they want. But here's the problem. You're only guaranteeing on each side of the bracket 2 of those.
Right, because of the wild cards.
Right, 1 in each division. Like there's an Atlantic bracket, there's a Metro bracket. So, and since there's 3 teams in each division that automatically make the playoffs, that's an odd number of teams. So you're only guaranteeing 2 in each conference, the top 2 teams, or actually it's the second and the third place teams. But if you want to sort of reintroduce rivalries into the playoffs, you're only guaranteeing 2. When it's 1 through 8, you were almost getting 1 or 2 anyways.
It's very silly. It's nonsense. But it is what it is, and here we are. And I love this time of year. I know you do. How can you not?
Of course. Look, it's so much better when the team you pull for is in it.
Right.
But I liken Ranger playoff hockey, and I'm not a Ranger fan. In fact, I hate them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But I liken Ranger playoff hockey to what the Yankees-Red Sox was in the early 2000s. Didn't root for either of those teams. In fact, you know how I feel about the Yankees.
Right.
Deep hate for them. But those series, plural, were so unforgettably epic. And I feel the same way about Rangers playoff hockey in the last, 5 to 7 years. Every series goes 7. Every series has 2 or 3 games that go to overtime.
Right.
And almost every single one features the Rangers pulling it out.
Right.
I absolutely, unequivocally can believe and pronounce to you that if you put a gun to my head and made me choose one series of all of them that was guaranteed to go 7, it would be Penguins-Rangers.
So let's start there when talking about this. I totally agree. The Rangers go 7 with everybody, and the Rangers-Penguins have met the last 2 years in the playoffs. 2 years ago en route to their trip to the Stanley Cup,
There's a large caveat, though, to this, and I'll tell you exactly what it is. And Ranger fans, and rightfully so, stick to the fact and love the fact that Henrik is unstoppable in Game 7s. But let's be fair. Every single time in Game 7s, he was by far the best goalie in the sport.
Right.
He is by far not the best goalie in the sport.
He's had a down year.
He has not been good this year. I still love him. I still, as I said to you many times, still think he's the best goalie, but he has not had a great year. In fact, until he became a star, I would say this is probably his worst regular season. So that makes me wonder how you could be so confident into Game 7. Now, look, if it's 1-0 games through 6, then I feel confident. If it's 5-3 every night, I'm not going to feel that confident.
Especially because the Rangers' defense has been so subpar this year, and the Penguins can let it rip. And I'll tell you another X factor. The Penguins really picked up the pace, ironically enough, when they picked up Carl Hagelin from Anaheim, who was with the Rangers
and
last
lost
few years.
Malkin. You know, when they lost Malkin, then they were like, I don't know, 10-2-1 without him, or some crazy number.
Incredible. And that was the team, as fans joked around, they didn't want to see was the Pittsburgh Penguins. And here we are, Rangers Penguins. I think it's going to go 7. I'm sure you do too.
I honestly, it's a you know how it is. Once you get to a Game 7, it's a coin toss.
Right.
It's a 50-50.
Remember, this will be in Pittsburgh, not Madison Square Garden, where Lundqvist has been epic in the past, except for Game 7 versus Tampa last year.
It's there. I have no clue who would win that Game 7. I am incredibly confident that it's going 7.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now, here's another big series. The Capitals have turned on a switch this year and been by far the best team in hockey with Barry Trotz leading the way. They got a winner in Justin Williams. They had a TJ Oshie. The Capitals are a different team than the Capital teams that have washed away. And here they play a young Flyer team that's like a year ahead of schedule, and they thought they would have basically no playoff life in them this year, and they got hot down the stretch. Claude Giroux is good. Wayne Simmons is good. Gustafsson back there on the point. Do you see any way the Flyers can upset the Caps? Because I do.
No. I honestly, I don't think it goes past 5.
Really?
The Flyers a game. Let me just say this, because I've said this to you. I've been basically saying this to you for 4 to 5 months, that I did not think the Caps were a cup-winning team, despite the fact that they've had by far the best regular season. They've been the best team here in 2015, 2016. But until that happens, I kind of liken it to 2 teams in baseball, the Pirates and the Royals. Royals finally proved to me that they could win. So now I believe that the Royals can win. And I'm talking about a title. I'm not talking about games. I'm talking about a title. Feel the same way about the Pittsburgh Pirates. They'll win games. I cannot pick them to win a title until I see it first. I need to see the Capitals win a title. And I know that they've had by far and away the best regular season. That being said, Flyers are not winning this series.
I think the Flyers are going to give them a fight. They split the season series, 2 of those games going to overtime. I think that series is going to be a lot better than you're giving it credit for. I think the Flyers have a lot more firepower, and I think Steve Mason could. I mean, Holtby could totally own the series for the Caps.
Here's the difference, and you know this well because you play the Caps every year in the playoffs. One of the liabilities for the Capitals in the last 5 years has been Braden Holtby. He has completely changed it around.
One of the best goaltenders in hockey.
He had the best year. He
No
absolutely
doubt.
had the best year. Now, he had the best team, but he 100% had the best year. I think the jury's still out on whether he'll be good in the playoffs, but he's been so good. I think that might be the difference, especially in an early round series.
I think that series is better than you give it credit for. Now to the 2 series that, quite frankly, have less buzz in the Eastern Conference.
Nothing has less buzz than Islanders Panthers.
So we get right into that. Islanders Panthers. The Islanders lost Halak, have lost to Hamonic.
Hamonic skated. Hamonic's going to be ready to go. The big injury was Anders
Lee fractured
their
his
big
leg.
body in front of the net.
But here's the thing. The Islanders at least have been kind of knocking on the door the last couple of years. They have not gotten out of the first round in over 20 years. John Tavares is there, the beast. This is probably the ideal matchup for them to get out of the first round. Luongo, Yager, a lot relied on there. The Panthers, though, haven't really been here with this young group, so I don't know what to expect out of them. I think this is the chance for the Islanders to get out of the first round.
I think Luongo has had the second best year of any goalie in the league after Holtby.
He has, and he could steal a series.
I've seen him up close and personal this year twice. I was stunned how good he is.
Not enough scoring, though, out of the Panthers.
No, because they don't have any top players, but they're much more middle heavy, if you will.
Right.
You know, there's no terrible players. There's no great players. But in hockey, you
can get by.
I'm not sure you can win a cup, but you can absolutely advance in the postseason.
But if you were to cherry pick any series in the Eastern Conference for the Islanders to get over that hump, I think this is it.
I would probably rather face Detroit or Tampa.
Okay.
Tampa with Stamkos, no way. Tampa without Stamkos, I'd probably rather face one of those two. But I think Florida's right there. This is, despite the fact that the way the regular season ended, specifically in the Eastern Conference, with multiple teams laying down, which is an embarrassment.
Right.
Perhaps a topic for another day. That's what the NHL created, so you get what you deserve. That was an embarrassment. That being said, it's what the Rangers desperately wanted, and you're crushed today because you didn't get that.
Yeah, as a Ranger fan, I'd rather be placed in Florida.
It's
Absolutely.
what the Islanders wanted, and it's what the Islanders got. That being said, I see this series.
A lot of that being said.
That's why I emphasized that last one.
Oh, okay.
I see this series going one of 2 ways. 7, toss-up, or Panthers in 5.
Wow. Panthers in 5. The Panthers haven't been there. They're not going to win this series in 5 games.
So solid. And by the way, Luongo is a playoff-tested goalie. He spent a lot of years in Vancouver when they were really good. Did they win a cup? No.
But that team as a whole, you've seen it with your Islanders. You know what I mean? There's something to be said for a group going there. Yeah. They're going to jump right in and win this series like that. I don't know, man.
You know what? And this is one of the quirks about the way the bracket's built that really annoys me. Now, this is something that probably only irritates Islander fans, but I think it's worthy of mention. The Islanders finished with more points than both Tampa and Detroit. Let's just say the Islanders were to beat the Panthers in the first round.
Yeah, they won't have home ice for us.
They will not have home ice because it's a 1-4, 2-3 matchup, and no matter what, the 2-3
we'll get the home ice over them,
which is unfair.
Yeah, well, that's what we were talking about with the whole bracket setup is stupid. The Lightning Red Wings, I think, has no juice. Red Wings getting in 25 straight years
juice.
because the Bruins collapsed.
This is a toss-up, though, and I'll tell you for multiple reasons. You want to talk
Lightning
about
injuries?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's why.
Lightning injury, singular.
Well, Stamkos, yeah. I know Hedman's supposed to come back, but Stroman hurt. That's a big injury for them.
Yeah, but Stroman's been out for a while.
Yeah, but still, when it comes to these playoffs, the Red Wings...
Let me just say this, though. If you want to add Stroman in there, they have Brian Boyle. They have Ryan Callahan. Those guys, talk about playoff tested. Those guys have an entire regular season under their belt just in playoff games.
I love Callahan, but he had a horrible year.
That's one of the worst contracts in hockey.
Yeah,
they gave him, what, $50 million or something?
There's no doubt. There's no
Terrible.
doubt. It's hard to get up for that series. I think the Red Wings are going to win the series, but you're right. It's a total toss-up.
I have no feel for that series.
I know we're almost up against the clock here. Just run through the West real quick. Stars wild. Tyler Seguin with the Achilles injury. That's a key for Dallas, but I just don't think Minnesota has enough. Zach Parise's banged up right now.
That's the most potent offensive team in the entire league. I cannot see Minnesota winning more than a game.
I totally agree. I think the Stars roll there. Blues Blackhawks is interesting. The Blues got to get on the Blackhawks in Game 1 at home without Duncan Keith in
I'm
Chicago.
I'm more confident in Chicago in every single series than any other team in any other series. That team is winning the Cup.
Wow. So that's it. Blackhawks are winning the Cup. I think they're
100%.
I think they're a different team. Now you could always bet on them. I like Dallas out of the West, tell you the truth, but the Blues haven't gotten out of the first round in 3 straight years. This is
I
tough
have
for them.
zero. I don't. To be fair and honest,
Tarasenko could take over.
I don't
but
know the Blues that well. You don't see them a lot here in the East. They have the worst matchup of any first-round team.
No doubt.
Talk about a tested team.
But watch Vladimir Tarasenko.
I know
take
that
over
he's
series.
a good player. I know that he's a good player. But have you seen Patrick
Mr. Hockey
Kane
here.
and Jonathan Taves?
Patrick Kane, first U.S.-born player to lead the league in points.
It's called the Art Ross Trophy.
How about that? The Ducks, Predators. Predators got no shot in the series. The Ducks have been the hottest team in hockey since December, getting the 1 seed out west.
You know what? Let me just say this. Of all the Western Conference buildings for an Eastern Conference team to play in, I always felt the least confident in Nashville.
Yeah, there is something different about it.
It's
good
really
crowd down there.
Feels like it's a hard place to play. That being said, I don't see the Ducks losing the series.
No. The Ducks are going to tear. And another series that kind of feels like the Blues-Blackhawks series is the Kings-Sharks series because the Kings are the Blackhawks of the Pacific. You know, you're always expecting them to be there. They actually missed the playoffs after
That's
coming
the
up on the
team
Cup
I feel
last
the
year.
second most confident
You
about.
have to.
There's no way there isn't Blackhawks Kings on the board for the conference final.
I mean, the Sharks are going to go out there. The Kings were 3-1-1. I had written this down out there. And other than Pavelski and Thornton, what scares you about San Jose? Nothing. Absolutely
nothing. And they have
nothing.
never proven to us that they can win.
No, I know the Kings will be without Gaborik. They've been without him for quite some time.
He's old.
He is old. But you're right, Kings and Blackhawks since it comes down to out west, but I still like Dallas to get there.
All right, your 2 teams in the East.
Eastern Conference Final. You know what? Call me homer. I think the Rangers are getting back there. I really do. Because every year you look up, they're there. I think they're going to get through the Penguins. I would say this on a flip. We didn't get to this earlier. The Penguins and Capitals have to be saying themselves the team they least want to see is the Rangers because the Rangers have owned them the last couple of years.
I think the team those 2 teams would like to face the least is that other team.
Well, that's fair. That's fair. I think you're going to end up with a. Boy, I can't believe I'm going to say this. I think you're going to end up with a Rangers Islanders Eastern Conference Final,
which
is crazy.
I mean, that would blow up this town. Let me just say this though, and I've been saying, you know that this is the truth because I've been saying it for weeks, if not months. Perhaps not months because they haven't been hot that long, but certainly weeks, and that's the Penguins. They have been smoking hot.
I do.
Smoking hot.
I just don't like the way they're built for the playoffs. If Fleury's banged up right now, you don't know what his deal is with the concussion.
He practiced today. He skated today.
I don't like the defense. But listen, I'm going Rangers on. I know that's probably a lot of people are going to say, you're from New York, why are you picking that? The Islanders is strictly because I don't trust the Panthers, Lightning, or Red Wings out of that bracket. I really don't. I think this is a chance the Islanders to get there. The Rangers end up in a cup, and I think they're going to end up ultimately losing the Stanley Cup to the Dallas Stars.
Interesting. I'll take Pittsburgh and Chicago. Chicago winning again.
Okay, so there you have it. Me and Berm, Side B, breaking down the Stanley Cup playoffs right here on the Permission Granted podcast. Have a good week, everybody.